Welcome to Confirmation Bias, presented by the League Ambassadors.
I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and this year's NCAA tournament won't get interesting until the Elite Eight.
I'm Ambassador Junior Blue, and North Carolina will be cutting down the nets at the end of the season. And that is my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Dev, a.k.a. The Dad, and Gus Johnson should call every game in the first and second round in March Madness. And that is my confirmation bias.
I'm Red O, and LeVar Ball is batshit crazy, but until they prove him wrong, I'm rolling with him, and that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Chef Curry with the pot, and the team that will win the NCAA tournament has a star player last name Jackson, and that is my confirmation bias.
Welcome to Confirmation Bias, brought to you by the League Ambassadors. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at The League AM, and our website at theleagueam.com. Basically, we're a group of friends and sports fans that have an extreme biases to our favorite teams, as you can see, and cities. Confirmation Bias will be us expressing our opinions about the sports we love and showing our ignorance for the ones we know nothing about. By the end of this season, I want to know why these NASCAR drivers drink milk after they win and why cricket is the second most popular sport in the world.
Bananas.
Crazy. Now that you know what confirmation bias is about, let's get to the hot topic. March Madness has begun with the play-in game starting today, and the field of 64 will be ready by the end of tomorrow. Being that we are now in March Madness, I want to know who do y'all... You could already tell from my confirmation bias who I feel like is going to win. So who's your Final Four, Kenyon? Who you got going all the way?
Duke?
Oh,
Fuck
no.
no. Shut that shit up now.
Nah, I'm fucking with you. I do have Duke in the Final Four. I got Duke,
I don't even want that far.
Gonzaga, Kansas, and North Carolina. And I got Kansas winning.
Jesus.
I got the Jayhawks. Senior guards, Frank Mason.
Yeah.
With Devontae Graham, they got a talented freshman.
Yep.
And the last time they won in 2008, they was led by upperclassman Darrell Arthur. But they were heavy and good in guard play. And Frank Mason, you know, he's going to get drafted probably at the bottom of the first round.
Yep.
But the dude is legit.
Have you seen them play recently?
Yeah, I've been watching him all season.
I'm talking about Kansas.
Yes,
Okay.
I've been watching
You
him all
didn't see him
season.
in the Big 12 final.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
No, they weren't there yet. I mean, but you know, there are teams that have lost in the first round before and still going on and have a good tournament run. I think that's a bit overrated.
To me, I think that they've looked a little shaky lately. I don't believe in Kansas myself. My Final Four is Villanova, Florida State, Louisville, UCLA. And on Monday night, I have Villanova repeating over UCLA.
Repeating, huh?
Florida State is interesting. That's an interesting call.
They might lose in the first round.
Yeah, they don't score enough.
They might lose in the first round.
That's quite possible.
Everything's possible in March Madness. That's the whole problem. I mean, I got Zags, I got Villanova, UCLA, and Kansas. And like I said in the beginning, I'm rolling with LeVar. LeVar said we winning. I'm rolling with LeVar.
LeVar is rolling with LeVar.
LeVar is rolling with himself and the triple B's. That's what he rolling with.
Triple B.
Yeah. Chef Curry.
I got Villanova, Florida State, Kansas, and North Carolina. As I agree with Ken, I believe in Kansas, but I'm also hedging my bets. Like I said in the intro, either Josh Jackson or Justin Jackson. Whoever comes out of that end of the Final Four, I think, is going to cut down the nets.
So who do you guys have in your final game?
I got Kansas over Gonzaga. I think, everybody is, everyone is, going off of the past in terms of the reputation that Gonzaga has, but they are a legit good team. First of all, they've got 5 or 6 guys that were transfers from D1 schools. Typically, Gonzaga has mid-major players, and they're not ready for the big stage, but these guys, led by Nigel Goss Williams, is legit. He's one of the best players in the nation. I think that they got the size on the interior. They can play big. They can go small. I look for them to break all the way through. They're going to beat Arizona, but ultimately it's again Frank Mason, Lonzo Ball, and it does pain me to say this, is a good basketball player. He's really good. In fact,
he's really good.
But Frank Mason III, to me, is the best point guard in the nation, and the fact that he's got the senior pedigree, he's the only point guard to average this season 20 points, 5+ rebounds, 5+ assists. He's going to be a revelation, and I actually think on this tournament run will boost his stock. So I got Kansas over Gonzaga.
I actually picked North Carolina over Arizona in the championship game, mainly because after losing last year, North Carolina returned, 6 players who played major minutes in that game. Yeah. They're also the only major conference team that's a powerhouse that starts. Their top 5 players are all juniors and seniors. So I always felt like the reason we have these upsets, the Wichita State's upsetting top teams, is because they're heavy on juniors and seniors. Now you have a team like North Carolina, who we know gets the A1, the 5-star recruits. Now they have juniors and seniors up there, and I feel like after last year's loss, not losing too much, that's why they're gonna take it this year. I haven't beaten Arizona.
Not losing too much.
Not losing. Who they lose?
Oh, you talking about players?
Players.
Oh,
they didn't lose too much. They didn't lose too much as far as
Different
talent.
context.
Yeah.
Different context.
Yeah. It's one and done now. It's one and done. Hey, Kenyon, what's USC gonna do tomorrow? What USC gonna do tomorrow?
Can we ring that bell, Jack?
Not yet. But I mean, to me, like, whether you watch college basketball or not, this time is so exciting because you can get into the tournament. You have office pools. We actually have a bracket. Come check us out.
Yes.
But that's why I mentioned in my confirmation bias Gus Johnson. Like, how amazing is it? Or it seems like he always gets the games that come down to like a buzzer beater.
Yep.
And that's what Thursday and Friday is for. And it just so happens that every year this thing kind of kicks off around my pop's birthday. So I just remember him taking off work and then just sitting. I'm coming home from school. He's sitting in the house drinking already, watching the games. So it should be kind of like a holiday, kind of like the Monday after Super Bowl.
What time did the game start?
10 a.m.
They start early.
10 a.m.
But he on the East Coast.
The thing is, my confirmation bias was that the tournament wouldn't get interesting until the Elite Eight. I really feel like this year there are about 10 teams, 10 really good teams, elite teams, and I think the winner's going to come from there. I don't think there's going to be that many Cinderella teams. There will definitely be upsets. We already know that. But
a 5 is going to be the 12 is going to be the
12 is going to be the 5. 11 will be the 6. But all in all, I think it'll be a pretty chalk situation. But because there are a great pool of there's a nice sized pool of teams that are really good. I think you're going to see some really good basketball play, which is indicative of actually the season that we've had in college basketball. Once we get into the second weekend.
I mean, I think that's the best part of March Madness is that elevated play because these kids are playing for something. It's nothing like it. That's why some people like it over NBA play.
I mean, the one and done has a big deal.
Yeah.
It's major. I mean, could you imagine if you had an NBA Finals where it was one game, one and done? I mean, now the intensity of those games would be crazy.
Yeah, they be fighting.
It'll definitely force the stars to come out to play, which is why I'm leaning towards Kansas and UNC. I mean, Kansas is 3 deep with Josh Jackson, as Kenyon mentioned, Devontae Graham, Frank Mason. But then you look at Carolina, they got Justin Jackson, Joel Berry, Theo Pinson, and Nate Britt. Mm-hmm. So, like you said, I think that'll be the difference to set those high-powered teams apart is when their stars come out to play. More so for Carolina. They may be the best team in the country when they play their best. The problem is, will they?
Fucking lost to Duke.
Except when they play Duke.
Is anybody checking for any Cinderellas? I know. You know, I'm
like
not really.
Cinderella, like all the way to the
like
show?
at least to the Elite Eight, like in the Elite Eight round, past the Sweet 16.
How's the SMU looking?
SMU is a good team.
Yeah. It's funny. Earlier today, I heard USC as a team to look out for. Not just to jab at you. Basically, because they're so athletic and they're so young, and they played in a conference that had Arizona, Oregon, UCLA, all top 3 seeds.
So it's funny you say that after he says SMU, because that's who I have them losing to is SMU. I think SMU is just as athletic. I think they're a little bit better defensively, and they have a little bit more of an experienced roster.
They still have Larry Brown's recruits there, right?
They still have his recruits there. They sat out last year because they weren't eligible because of Larry Brown. But the players are still there, and I don't think that they'll have enough to beat them. They're a good team. I wish that 2 of our guys that left last year, I wish that team still would have been there because I think we might have been able to make a run. But yeah, I don't see us going past that.
All right. Yeah, I had to throw a boxing bell in there for you.
All right, so
knock out this weekend.
So now we will go to Black versus Blue, which is our antonym segment. I call it an antonym segment because, I mean, I paid attention in elementary school, but
you read words good.
The basic idea of this is, we have multiple themes: hope or hype, hit or flop, newsworthy or nothing to see here, and then we're just gonna pick a side. So first, for hope or hype, I want to bring up the Houston Rockets, guys. They're one of only 3 teams to beat the Spurs, the Cavs, and the Warriors. My question is, Omar, I'll start with you. Should the Rockets fans be excited for the playoff chase that the Rockets are going to be in?
They should be excited, but the problem is who's their coach? Mr. Antony. He can't be trusted in the playoffs. He can't be.
Did you intentionally call him Antony?
And Coach D to save my life.
That's absolutely correct.
And his star player has zero interest in even pretending that he wants to play defense.
Is that the argument? Is the argument about their defense?
Don't believe the hype. Hell no. No, they are awful to watch at times. I watched their game the other day. Harden dribbled at the top of the key 5 feet behind the line and either yanked it, or when he did the step back and didn't have a shot, he passed it to Trevor Ariza, who wasn't in any place to do anything with it.
So you don't trust the
got
offense?
It back. No, it's not the offense. It's defense. He plays zero fucking defense. But that has never been able to work in this league. It hasn't yet. That Antony, when he had MVPs on his team, this shit didn't work.
The playoffs are a different animal. Always has been, which is why he has never been successful in the playoffs.
I still think it's a little bit of hope, though, with Durant out, Aldridge out, and he's out indefinitely. I mean, it's still some hope there.
The only thing I want to say about the defense is this. They're 15th in defensive efficiency. They're 7 places higher than Cleveland, which is 22nd. When you look at the teams that are actually good on defense, you're talking about Atlanta, Charlotte, Utah, New Orleans, Detroit, Indiana. I'm just saying I don't know.
If you go back to his Suns days, they always had surprisingly good defensive numbers. It was crazy.
But the thing is, I'm not even saying that they have good defensive numbers. Rather, what I'm saying is I don't know if defense is the priority anymore.
No.
in today's NBA.
No, hell no, it's not. No.
Okay, so that's all. Hit or flop. All right. In baseball, the World Baseball Classic, they are implementing this 11th inning rule. I guess it's a rule actually with international baseball where if a game goes to extra innings, once it gets to the 11th inning, they're putting runners on first and second automatically.
Ghost runners.
So yeah, and so we saw it in 2 games, the Dominican Republic versus Colombia, and then also Japan versus the Netherlands. My question is this going to be a hit? Is this a hit for baseball? Also, Major League Baseball is trying this rule out at the minor league level. Is it a hit or is it a flop, Kev?
Don't even say the word hit. This is as soon as I looked this up and actually saw that this was real, I was like, oh hell no. Think about this. First off, and I don't know the details of it, so correct me if I'm wrong, but how do you even determine the 2 guys that get placed on first base? Like,
Good
are they
question.
the guys that got out the last inning?
That's a great question.
And then I think it kind of poses as an advantage to the road team because then
The visiting team. Yes, exactly. That's right. Because then they get to hold off on putting in their closer
Right.
in the game.
Yeah, what's the benefit of, okay, let's say you shut a team out, your pitcher is rolling, your bullpen, you keep a team off the board, and then to start the 11th inning, it's just, okay, we're going to front them 2 base runners. MLB better stay far away from this as possible. Flop.
All right. Lastly, newsworthy or nothing to see here. We know so many times different sports publications make big stories out of nothing. In NFL free agency, we had the Houston Texans do a trade where they got rid of Brock Osweiler, who's trash.
Unseen.
Sight unseen.
Is he the only person to have 2 nicknames on our?
He might be. He might be. So my question is it newsworthy? Because the reason why this is a big situation is because effectively Cleveland, having a shit ton of cap space, just said we'll take your poor, we'll take your wounded.
You're downtrodden.
For nothing. You're downtrodden. Just give us some draft picks. And they have a ton of picks now. Newsworthy? Nothing to see here.
It's newsworthy.
I thought
Definitely.
it was newsworthy.
Yeah. Mainly,
it was awesome.
I mean, yeah, it was awesome, but it also freed up cap space for the Texans to go after that other quarterback in Texas.
quote unquote.
Well, we still waiting on to see if that's actually having Jerry playing games.
Jerry is playing games.
He's playing serious games.
He's playing games, but not,
Jerry can't let go.
yeah. He
don't know how to
He
lose.
want one more time.
Yeah.
One more time behind the tool shed.
Let me ask you this. When we first saw this, we were all like, Hugh, come on, bro. Can y'all sink any lower? But after looking at the deal, I don't think it was that bad for Cleveland because
It's a 1-year deal.
yeah, and they were able to cut bait with them. I think they got a 2nd-round draft pick for 2018. And we know with Cleveland, their rebuilding process is 3-4 years in the making. And I think
I'm about to say it's ongoing.
no, I mean moving forward, it's going to take them a few years. And I think they have 11 or 12 draft picks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Draft
Well,
5 up.
they have 7 in the first two rounds. Sorry, Kev. 7 in the first 2
5.
rounds.
Okay, yeah, and 5 in the top 65. So I think in the long run, it may work out for him. But for Brock, I think he might be the only white guy to ever be stuck in a sunken place.
And on that note,
Whoa! All right. So, yeah, give me a couple more of them.
Where do we go from here?
So, we're going to our segment called Is You With It or Nah? The moment we've all been waiting for, where we have 2 of our league ambassadors duke it out in a debate-style segment. Today, we have Ambassador Red O versus Ambassador Chef Curry. The topic today is going to be, who is the biggest bust? Is it Greg Oden or Kwame Brown? I'm going to start the coin flip. Kev, since you in the snow, call it in the air.
Tails never fails.
It is tails.
Tails it is.
So, Kev, you get to choose which side of the argument you want.
I'm going to stay to my heart, and I'm going to argue that Kwame Brown is the bigger bust.
Okay.
Right.
And Ambassador Redo, you get to choose who goes first.
Well, I believe in transgender rights, so I'm going to let Kevin go first.
See, I was going. Okay, all right, we're going to go there today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Count you down 3, 2, 1.
All right. It's no question here that Kwame Brown is the bigger bust. And for me, I think the biggest difference is the choice that he had compared to Greg Oden. So Kwame just knew he was so good that he passed on his college career and declared for the NBA draft fresh out of high school. So he was taken number 1 overall in 2001 to the Wizards over guys like Tyson Chandler, Paul Gasol, Jason Richardson, Joe Johnson, Zach Randolph. These are champions and all-stars in this league, something that Kwame is neither. Kwame chose, after being drafted, not to work on his game. He lacked fundamentals. He averaged just 6.6 rebounds for his long 12-year career on 7 different teams, including Omar's LA Lakers. Greg Oden, on one hand, his lack of production was not because of his choices or his inability. It was because of injuries. Because when healthy, Oden played well. He had a stretch in 08-09 where he averaged 16 points, 11 rebounds, a block and a half a game, but then he got hurt. The year after, he had a similar stretch where he improved, 17 points a game, 8 boards, 2.5 blocks, but then got hurt again. So as banged up as he was, you know, it wasn't his fault that he couldn't have a successful career. And even for Kwame Brown, he didn't play a full 82-game season at all either. I mean, think, how many seasons did Kwame Brown average over 9 points a game? Just one. In a 12-year career, you had one hot album every 12-year average. That's lame. And Oden, if you look at just career stats, he averaged more points at 8 and more rebounds than Oden when he was able to play. And in my opinion, I think he was one of the most versatile big men at his age. He could play with both hands. When he broke his right hand, he actually finished the game with his left and was pretty productive. So with Greg Oden, the talent was there, but luck wasn't on his side. And for Kwame Brown, I flat out believe, we all know, Kenyon knows, he chose to suck.
Quame the lame. First of all, the man played 12 seasons. 12 seasons. He was traded, but he was also signed to other teams. He had a career. He actually had an NBA career. First of all, let's go back to Greg Oden. Greg Oden was 40 years old when he got drafted. They should have known he was going to get injured. 42. They should have known he was going to get... They picked him over Kevin Durant. Case closed. Kevin Durant. He played 3 seasons. He was out for 3 seasons, tried to come back. Like, come on, man. How much money did they pay that man? Number 1 pick who had a 3-season career. 3 seasons. I mean, what else do you want? What else do you want? I mean, you want to talk about people who got drafted with him? Al Horford, Mike Conley, Marc Gasol, Joakim Noah. I mean, and Swag L, since we want to bring up the Lakers. I mean, but the number 2 pick was KD. That's the closest to Sam Bowie we gonna come. Case closed. I'm done.
Okay. That was rather spirited. So, Ambassador Ken, was your bias confirmed?
No, my bias was not confirmed. Number 1, we're talking about 2 non-motherfucking factors in Kwame Brown and Greg Oden.
Quame the lane.
If we want to talk about the actual debate, Kevin, my question is, so if you make bad choices, are you really a bust? If you make bad choices, you're going to fail. So that means you're not a bust.
But we didn't know he was going to make those bad choices. He chose to suck. If Greg Oden had the health that Kwame Brown had...
Nah, man, that's more of a Michael Jordan problem. He should have known that Kwame Brown had smaller hands than him and he's 7 feet tall. Michael Jordan made that mistake, not Kwame Brown.
So the last thing I'll say, you mentioned Michael Jordan. The question that I have when I think about Kwame is, honestly, if Michael Jordan wasn't the guy who drafted him... Would Kwame Brown be any different than Michael Olowokandi or Benoit Benjamin or any of these other losers? Like, how much of, huh?
Come on.
Okay.
I'm losing.
Kwame didn't love basketball. Kwame went out there. He was 7 feet tall.
And he played 12 seasons.
But
12. See, he had a career.
They kept giving him checks.
That's my point, because he's a 7-footer, but Greg couldn't play after a while.
Dude,
I mean, I'm sorry.
If you're picking bust. 5 on the court,
I'm not picking any of them.
And one dude, and there's 2 that's left, and you pick one of them, and they can't even fucking play, that's a bust. I'm sorry. It's 4 against 5.
Devin, you're my older brother. But don't ever take sides against the family.
So Ken, your bias was not
My
confirmed?
bias was not confirmed. No.
Damn.
Who won the debate?
Kevin, it's on you.
All right, guys. So before we get out of here, we're gonna implement a new segment on our show called Diplomatic Immunity, where we interact with our viewers via social media. So take a few questions, a few comments, pass it around the group, and see what you guys think. So let me see what I got messaged to me. We have a Terrence from Costa Mesa who wants to know, and I guess this is a yes no question. Everybody just go around and answer.
Hey, Terrence.
Hey, he's a viewer, man.
Yeah.
Hey, from Costa Mesa.
Will Chris Bosh return to the NBA again, and will he ever be an All-Star? Yes or no?
No.
No.
No. Next
They
question.
won't let him.
All right, we got Jake from the dirty city of Pittsburgh, who he wants to know the Dallas Cowboys have lost 2 offensive linemen, Barry Church and a guy whose first name is JJ. I believe that's
Wilcox.
JJ. Yeah.
It's Wilcox.
Okay. He says, how trash will they be in 2017?
That's a good
They
question.
had people to replace
They
them.
have people to
They
replace
didn't
him.
lose
Yeah.
a thing.
Jeff Heath at safety. That's the white boy that got off against Green Bay. Lyle Collins, who was a mauler his rookie year. He had some injuries last year, but he'll replace Leary. I think they do need to address the free. They could actually move Collins to the right tackle spot, but they have guys to replace him. So
I don't know. What's his name? Jake from Pittsburgh.
I like Jake from State Farm.
What do you
Hey,
wear?
be nice to
I think Jake pulled that question out of a Laffy Taffy.
I wanted to make sure a Pittsburgh question didn't come up.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was probably the next thing. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I think you have to weigh that against the best line in the league having to reshuffle a little bit. I mean, it could be seamless. It may not. We don't know.
Well, I'm saying Collins was a part of that line though his rookie
Yeah.
year. So,
And a possible sophomore slump for the rookies.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Possible.
All right. Anything else?
Anything from
for me?
Trevor?
Nah, Trev might be on Thursday.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for joining us, the League Ambassadors, on Confirmation Bias. Please go to our website at theleagueam.com. Visit us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all over the place at the League AM, and let us know, was your bias confirmed?